Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be discipline, effort, and romance ensures relationship success. Well, this particular emailer is from a viewer from the UK, and so he's had a rocky 12-year relationship with his baby mama. They got 2 kids, and so he's kind of been off and on with her throughout the years. And so when they were together, he's 7 years sober now. And so early on, their troubles were he was just drunk, fat, and lazy. So he cleaned up his act. Eventually, he came across my work, came across 3% Man, really got into it because his girl had left him. And so he got fit, he got in shape, he's really disciplined, started his own business, doing really well. Started hooking up with other women. It was really easy. He said he felt like Chad Thundercock at the time. And who also noticed was his baby mama. She started coming on to him and really trying hard to get him back. And so obviously he ended up getting back together and things were great for several years. But he realized he just got dumped recently or a few months ago. And he just now got back into the book and he realizes like he went right back to the old way that he was. He wasn't drinking, obviously he was sober, but he says he got fat, he got lazy. He's like, he didn't even remember the last time he took her out on a date. And so he got pretty mad at himself because he's like, man, he slipped so far and he didn't even realize it. So you got to remember, whatever you observe, you participate in. And so guys that read 3% Man 10 to 15 times, the really good students that don't have these kinds of problems, they go back to the book at least once or twice a year just to kind of keep things fresh in their mind and make sure they haven't gotten sloppy because they're being disciplined. And like Jocko Willink says, discipline equals freedom. So if you want to have freedom in your relationship and you want your girl to be stuck to you like a sucker fish, you got to be disciplined. You got to treat her right. And so he just details a lot of things that he was doing wrong. And so a lot of my phone sessions are with guys. Probably 80% of them are guys that are in long-term relationships. Things went sideways. Usually they're the ones that get dumped because women do the dumping about 75% of the time. And then they start reading the book and applying what's in the book, becoming attractive again, and they're able to put their relationships back together. But if you go right back to the same behavior that turned her off the first time around, well, she's predictably going to leave again eventually. And so what I see people in long-term relationships do all the time, guys doing with their girlfriends, lesbians doing with their girlfriends, gay dudes doing with theirs, it's like it's across the board. If you ruin the sexual polarity and you act too much like the other essence, or in this case, you stop just being disciplined, he didn't take the time to open her up, he had, like I said, he doesn't even remember the last time he took her out on a date, so the courtship completely stopped. And those either familiar with my work know that women want to be in a love story. If you don't date and court your girlfriend, eventually some other guy will. These are just things you're going to have to do if you want to maintain it. And it requires discipline, and it requires effort, and it requires doing these things even when you don't feel like doing them. And that's what happens. The longer you're together, you just kind of go back to sleep. Life gets in the way. You get busy with the kids, friends, family, business. And it's something that happens over several years, typically not a couple of weeks or a couple of months. And so if you stop consuming the book, and then you're just always putting the boob tube on, watching TV, watching sitcoms, watching traditional movies, media, TV programs, you're getting re-brainwashed in the ways that are dysfunctional and unattractive and unnatural and against your, or I should say our, innate nature, the way the Creator made us. And so you got to get back to the basics. And so this email is a really good email for you guys that are struggling in your long-term relationships, or you're trying to attract a girl back. You can see how quickly, once he really did what was in the book, his wife came, or his girlfriend came right back. I don't think they're married. So let's go through his email. He says, "Good morning, Coach, from sunny England." Are you joking with me? England's not really known for being sunny, but maybe he's being a little facetious. He's being a little cheeky. I've had a rocky 12 years with my kid's mom. I'm a recovering alcoholic, now 7 years sober, with 2 children, 7 and 9. When she first left me, it was for obvious reasons, and I worked hard, got sober, and got a first-class degree and have started a business which is going well. We reconciled after a couple of years of extremely, I now know, needy and begging behavior, and predictably, after a few months, she was out the door again because I was the same beta loser, only I was no longer drunk to boot. So he got his life together, stopped drinking, started taking care of himself, but he hadn't really changed his behavior. And so when she came back, he started over pursuing and acting needy and clingy, basically acting like her third child. And women don't want to be your mommy. They don't want to be your therapist. And when you go to them for attention and validation and you just treat them like your mommy, well, they're going to lose interest. And you're going to elicit platonic feelings in them towards you to where you're going to dry them up. They're not going to want to have anything to do with you sexually. He says, I came across your stuff during COVID wondering how the hell I could move forward, and a lot of the stuff made so much sense. I got in shape and started practicing what was in the book and was shocked to find how easily I could attract and get with other women. It gives you superpowers. The book is the cheat codes to life. You guys haven't read this yet? UnderstandingRelationships.com. Just subscribe to the free email newsletter and it'll open up right in your web browser. You can read it for free. You don't have to buy anything. You could try before you buy. Oh, before I forget, today's obviously Wednesday when you guys are watching this. So we started doing live streams. Did our first one a couple of weeks ago. And so every Friday going forward around 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is the same time zone as New York and Miami in the United States. We'll be doing about a 2-hour live stream where we just answer your questions. You guys will be able to do super chats and your questions in. It'll be myself and the girls. And obviously you'll have us for 2 hours to answer your questions. So that's 1 p.m. on Friday. If you just go to the live tab on the homepage of my YouTube channel, you'll be able to click, and you can click the little button to notify you and remind you, when it's going to start. So with that housekeeping out of the way, back to our regularly scheduled email here. So he says, I went through the book a couple of times, but honestly felt like Chad Thundercock 2.0 and decided I had everything sussed. Pride cometh before the fall. That's why I say 10 to 15 times. So he read it enough to become attractive, to date and seduce, but he didn't really bother learning the other things. And then he just went right back to consuming traditional movies and TV, re-brainwashed himself, as you'll see what happens here. The relationship with the new girl deteriorated as I fell back into my old ways, but to my surprise, my kid's mom was now highly attracted to me and falling all over herself for another shot. It's amazing what having other women interested in you will do to the women who don't seem to care. Over the last 4 years, I have had tunnel vision focusing on my business and being a provider when she left me again late last year, which would be late 2024. I was honestly like, what the fuck is going on? After returning to your work in crisis, he says, I know. I can't believe the obvious shit I had been missing. Well, all I can do is coach and lead and suggest and give you the information, but you got to do the work. I can't fix you or save you. You got to participate in your own rescue. Your mommy can't fix this for you. You have to fix it. She had initiated sex for 2 years. Yeah, right there. It's like if you are applying what's in the book, your girl's going to want sex more than you do. That's just a fact of life. But if you act like a bitch, women will treat you like a bitch, and you won't get anywhere near the promised land unless she's throwing you a few mercy fucks here and there. Every time she told me something, I tried to fix, teach, or advise her. I never just shut the fuck up and listened. Well, when a woman feels heard and understood, the legs open, and when she doesn't, the legs close. So he didn't make her feel heard and understood, and as you'll see, he stopped dating and courting her as well, which you do that, it's just a matter of time before she's going to leave you. And that's across the board. Heterosexual, gay, and lesbian relationship. Across the board. If the masculine essence does not court the feminine essence and doesn't make the feminine essence feel heard and understood, the masculine essence is going to get dropped like a bad habit. It's as inevitable as the sun coming up in the east and setting in the west. Eventually, she stopped trying, and I didn't even notice until now. I had let myself get fat again, and I can't remember the last time I took her out somewhere. The courtship never ends, dude. There's a chapter in the book that says exactly that. The courtship never ends. If you don't date and court your girlfriend or your wife, eventually some other guy will do it for you. I used my feelings towards her as my gauge for how our relationship was and missed all the signs. Yeah, he was focused on his interest in her, completely ignored her lack and low interest in him. Returning to your work has been painful reading, even though I was shocked and pissed off because of how hard I was working. I have no choice but to accept that it's all my fault. Radical honesty, radical humility. As Jocko Willink would say, extreme ownership. Everything in your life is there because you made it or you attracted it or you did it. Because when you blame others and point the finger at other people, then it's not your fault. Then there's nothing to change, nothing to fix, and the status quo stays the same. If you keep doing what you've always done, you'll continue to get what you've always got. So this guy was lazy, sloppy, and undisciplined. He says, she didn't want to be my mom, and who can blame her for that? Yeah, you're supposed to be the masculine one. You're supposed to have more testosterone and be more masculine and manly than she is. She's gotten involved with someone else quickly, which really hurts, but realistically, she was out of this relationship a long time before I found out. You ever seen any reconciliation with such a messy relationship? Well, you already did it once. As Gerald Celente of the Trends Research Institute says, current events form future trends. Or is it worth just turning the page and being a 3%er from here on out? Well, you should always be a 3%er. The book is not going to help you if you read it a few times, get laid, and then you blow it off and think, I got this. Because eventually you just go back to sleep because you're only participating in learning dysfunctional archetypes from the mainstream media, news, movies, and TV shows. So again, whatever you do often, you do best. So if you're only consuming traditional media, well, your life is going to go sideways just like this dude. You'll just go right back to sleep. I really appreciate you, by the way. You've gotten me through some dark times the last few years. To find out you're a conservative has only made me like you more. Hoping Trump invades the UK and sorts the hellscape out before I get taxed into liquidation. If you guys don't pull your fucking heads out of your asses and sack up, you're going to get taken over by the Islamists. The crazy thing about what's going on in Europe is that the Islamists, the Ikhwan, the Muslim Brotherhood sponsored preachers, teachers, and financiers of jihad are not allowed to operate in the Middle East. In Saudi Arabia, they'll chop your fucking head off. Same thing with Dubai, United Arab Emirates. They don't tolerate this shit. And so these preachers are not allowed to preach this version of Islam in the Middle East. But then they go to Europe and the UK and they basically tell everybody in their mosque that they're basically going to take over, they're going to outbreed the native population, and then when they're in the majority, they're going to impose Sharia law, just like they did in Spain. And eventually, Queen Isabella kicked them out. And even a lot of French generals are saying that we're headed for a civil war if the government doesn't do anything about it. And there's a clip that I talked about in one of the documentaries that I did that's in the members area about the Israeli war and the Hamas war. The foreign minister of the United Arab Emirates was saying there's going to come a day where there's more terrorists coming out of Europe than the Middle East because of political correctness and their unwillingness and their weakness to address this issue. Again, these people that are spreading this version of Islam all throughout Europe are not allowed to do it in the Middle East. They're not allowed to do it in Saudi Arabia. They're not allowed to do it in the United Arab Emirates. You look at Egypt, same thing. I mean, Sisi saved Egypt from getting destroyed by the Muslim Brotherhood and booted them all out, put them in jail, because they were absolutely destroying their society. It's the same ideology as ISIS. And we have the same problem because these guys are floating all over the United States, going to different mosques and preaching the jihad. And, you got enough self-hating, self-loathing, suicidal losers in there. A certain percentage of them are going to buy into it. And they're going to believe in it. What's crazy is more Muslims joined ISIS than joined the British military. That's a problem. Again, this kind of stuff is not allowed to be preached in Saudi Arabia. They don't tolerate that shit. But in the Europe and the West, it's like these people they openly talk about it. They openly talk about how they're taking over and going to take over. So you guys better sack up, especially your cuck King Charles, Prince Charles. It's like, he's a bitch. What a fucking bitch. To just sit there like a little fucking beta male. But then again, if you ever saw the picture of one of the Rothschilds putting his finger on, back when Prince Charles was Prince Charles, pushing his chest, it's like, man, in the old days, you do that, it's like one of the king's guard is going to grab you by the throat and toss your ass out on your ass, but he lets one of the, I forget which Rothschild it is, put his fingers on him, his hands on him like that. It's like, he's a bitch. Prince Charles is a bitch. Maybe he sacks up, but it's not looking good. Maybe, definitely not Harry, but maybe the other prince, maybe William will save the UK, because I don't see Charles doing anything, and the Harry's, he's totally cucked by his, he put his balls in a box and gave him to fucking Meghan. It's like, what a disappointment he's turned out to be. What a fucking beta male. So you guys got some problems, man. Hopefully y'all stand up, and otherwise it's, 50 years from now, probably Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates is going to be invading Europe to save it from ISIS the way it's going. Pretty crazy. So if you got a question or a challenge and you want to get my help, go to understandingrelationships.com, click the products tab at the top of your screen on any page of my website, and book a coaching session with yours truly. If you guys haven't already signed up for our paying exclusive members only content, in the video description of this video, there are links to join on YouTube, or you can join on Spotify, or our website, understandingrelationships.com. Just click the plans tab when you get there. And with the website, you can do a 7-day free trial with a monthly or an annual plan. And if you choose an annual plan, you get a 25% discount for paying the whole year's premium up front. Go do a free trial now at understandingrelationships.com. Click the plans tab and check out all the great exclusive premium content we have for premium paying members. And remember, 1 p.m. on Fridays going forward, Eastern Standard Time, same time zone as Miami and New York. We'll be doing live streams for 2 hours to answer your questions. Until next time, we'll talk to you soon.